Okay, so I just got done episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again. This is the new Disney Plus Marvel show. This is kind of, sort of a continuation of the Netflix series titled Daredevil. It's very much in the same blood and veins as that show, and in a lot of ways, we are following a very similar tone. We have a lot of the same actors back here, we have the same setting, so there are a lot of things, but in the same way that this kind of acts as a reboot, as well as the characters that you're seeing in this show are not the same characters that you saw in the 2 seasons of Netflix Daredevil, which, this series I know just had its premiere the other night. So, I'm not going to get into spoilers in case, people haven't seen, the first episode or haven't had a chance to see the show yet. So, I'll put that in the title. This is going to be a spoiler-free reaction. But, really getting into what I liked about this first episode is I loved the more quieter moments. I loved the more human moments with Matthew Murdock and his love interest. There's this really funny, introduction between the two characters that takes place in a cafe, and it's a very, it's very it's very awkward but romantic scenario. And I thought, to see Matthew, Murdoch, actually, sit there, engage in a conversation and laugh and smile. I have to be honest, that little minor scene, actually brought a tear to my eye because, this is a character that's filled with so much, darkness and, and regret and, to a degree, a lot of death, in his life. And I thought to see those more human reactions come out of him. I thought the show really managed those moments really well, and I also thought the way that it develops that relationship. I really liked that in this first episode, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where that relationship does go throughout season 1. And I like how. I like how the returning characters here, as I already addressed, are not the same. Like we have Matthew Murdock, but Matthew Murdock is Matthew Murdock. Matthew Murdock is not Daredevil in this show, at least as of yet. And then we have Fisk, or was it Fisk? Fisk? Yeah, Fisk sounds familiar. I really loved Fisk in the show, how we're seeing him more as an actual guy who's running for mayor of the town, and he wants to kind of do what's best for New York. But the entire episode feels like a ticking time bomb where it feels like there's still a part of their old self in these characters, and it's just kind of ticking. It's like there's a time bomb to when that other side does come out. And that's another thing I love, I loved about this first episode of when are the eggs gonna crack here? And so, that's one thing I really loved about the show. And now more on to the more practical side of things here. The lighting in this first episode, phenomenal. The cinematography, fantastic. This has a very 80s crime thriller, look to it. There's a lot of 80s zooms, and just the color scheme and the color palette, it is phenomenal. There were some shots in this first episode that I would have no problem, using as wallpaper or a postcard, especially the final 2 minutes, beautiful. But the entire episode, it's beautifully shot.